Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of science versus religion has been pretty dominant throughout movie history. Now, back in the day, it seemed that science always won that argument because we were making advancements and great things were happening in society and the culture. But lately there's been a shift in that paradigm, and in the last, I want to say maybe 4 months or so, I've seen at least 6 different movies that have pitted science against religion, and science doesn't fare too well. Not exactly sure what the reason is and why the shift in the paradigm is, but it could be that there is a lot of skepticism, shall we say, on science in today's society because so many things, especially when it comes to the Wuhan virus, have been wrong from the scientific world. So perhaps I'm not sure. But I do know that of all the movies I've seen tackling this theme, the movie we're going to talk about tonight is probably one of the best. It pits science against religion, and I think you'd be mighty surprised at the way this small, independent little film treats the whole thing. Now, I'm not just going to talk about the movie tonight. Oh, no, no, no. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an exclusive interview with the writer and the director of this film as cinematic class is about to begin, and your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, and other sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies, and I am very happy to announce that tonight I have as my special guest Cary Belessa, who is the writer and director of a movie called Imminence. Now, I've got to tell you right up front that I think this movie is a diamond in the rough, truly. It is an independent film, and it was made with a very small budget. But as I've been saying for decades, no movie is good unless it starts with a solid script. And this one has a solid script. I should explain possibly the difference between immanence and transcendence. There are 2 basic themes in religion. One is transcendence. That's when the spiritual being, if you will, is above and goes beyond the human experience. It transcends. Okay, and immanence is just the opposite. That's the theory that the spiritual being and essence is actually contained within the mundane items of everyday life. This one is called Imminence. I had the opportunity to sit down and talk with Cary. I think you'll find this exceptionally interesting. It's a very good movie. Here is the exclusive interview.
Greetings, salutations, and other sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. Folks, I got to tell you, there is a movie called Imminence. I watched this thing and I had myself a grand time. You know, when you find an independent film that has this kind of effect, it's like finding that diamond in the rough. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, you're exceptionally happy that it does. And I have with me tonight the writer and director of that film, Cary Belessa. Cary, great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Fiore. I appreciate it. Your intro just made me so happy. So I'm already on cloud 9. Thank you. I feel the same way as you do. So thanks.
Let's talk a little bit about the movie. Imminence is, I should probably start off by letting the audience know that Imminence is in direct contrast to transcendence in religion. And I think everybody kind of knows what transcendence is, but eminence might be a little murkier. So let me start off by saying that in eminence, that suggests that the spiritual world actually permeates the mundane physical world. Now, is that an okay description for you?
Yeah. That's good. We always think about it as like immanence is the physical embodiment of a spiritual being, of something transcendent, of God per se. Like, for instance, Christians believe that Jesus is the physical embodiment of God. Thus, Jesus is in its immanent form, or Jesus is immanence of God. So we sometimes explain that to people who they kind of, like you said, they kind of understand, but I think giving a little more detail is good. It sounds like you already knew all that stuff, because when we were coming up with the title, we wanted to make sure that it was simple, but yet kind of mysterious.
Mm-hmm. And this whole religious philosophy, it permeates religions, both Western culture, Eastern culture. I mean, it's everywhere. I'm curious, since most movies that have kind of a religious bent tend to lean more toward the transcendence, what was it that attracted you, or what experience did you have that you decided to go with the eminence theme?
Good question. I think so. I wrote this with my best friend Josh, who we do all of our projects together. We are both religious individuals. We got faith and things like that. That we also haven't seen, we thought, kind of a film using this kind of theology. We've seen religion portrayed a certain way, but I think we kind of want to take it a different angle, if that makes sense. So we had a lot of experience, we understand the Bible and other theologies. So we kind of take as much as we could to make it as real as possible. I remember one of our individuals who read the script was like, is all of this real? And we're like, well, if you read or if you believe the Bible, then it could be interpreted as real. So, yeah.
Okay, good point. This might be off on a tangent a bit, but there have been an awful lot of movies where the scientific world is pitted against the religious world in one shape or another. Now, decades ago, and believe me, I go back that far, anytime you had this conflict in a movie, the scientific field always won. And, it was because we were the, man of the future, and, we were leaving behind old ways and getting out of the cave and progressing on to great things. But I got to tell you, Carrie, the last 6 films or so that I have seen that have had science and religion battling one another, it hasn't gone that way. For some reason, there's been a shift in filmmaking where the folks who are more religious, the folks who have faith, are given a lot more prominence and given more of the, for lack of a better term, heroic protagonist type role rather than the antagonist role. Now, I don't want to give too much away about the movie, but this kind of happens in your film, and I'm wondering, first off, why, and if we're going to get really snarky on this thing, is it because that maybe as a society, especially over the last 2 years, we've lost a little bit of our faith in the scientific community?
I definitely can see that point. Absolutely. But I know we made a conscious decision while making this film that we wanted to give science and religion each give them a shot. We're not trying to say that religion is the way to go. I am not trying to say that science is the way to go. I believe that they can work together, but for the film, we want you to watch it and then after sit around with all your friends at Denny's or wherever you go and maybe try to take away some points from each side and kind of come up with your own conclusions about that. So we didn't want to like hit you hard as this is a religious film. We didn't want to hit you hard as a science film. We wanted to kind of put it out there and let you kind of choose what you believe or what you think.
And I think in this film you did a really good job on that.
Thank you.
The turning point for me, and I hope I got this guy's name right, Jamie McShane.
Yes.
When he shows up in the movie, that kind of tipped the scales for me.
I'll tell you that. Yeah. I mean, yes, that's kind of what we're building up to. And then this is our guy, like you said, don't want to give away too much, but this is, yeah.
Yeah. Folks, when Jamie McShane shows up in this movie, you'll know immediately. I mean, we're not, I don't have to give anything away or drop any hints. You will immediately say, oh, I got it. It's that type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did. I mean, and I was a big fan of Jamie McShane's for a long time. I was also, I watched all of Bloodline on Netflix, and then, Michael Beach, our main character, knew him and said, hey, I think I could get Jamie. And I was like, really? And so it just worked out. And Jamie's he's a phenomenal actor and just a stand-up great guy.
Yeah, he did a nice job in that. And we should point out that Michael Beach plays Jonah in the movie, and his character is exceptionally interesting. Let's put it that way. He's a very good character, and Michael does a good job in portraying him. Carrie, I'd like to deviate a little bit from the movie and talk a little bit about you. When you look up your bio.
Yeah, not much.
Well, that's not the point. The point is that it says, before you really started sinking your teeth into movie making, that you had associated with some pretty big names. I'm going to read a couple of these out.
Yeah.
David Fincher, Sam Raimi, Gore Verbinski, Cameron Crowe. Yep. Now, is this... I guess what I'm asking is, there are a veritable plethora of people who go to film schools every year and never, ever come in contact with people like this. So kind of fill in that big gap for me. How did you actually get to work or meet with these people?
Yeah, well, the crazy thing was before I went to film school, I was a production assistant, a PA for a couple years. My best friend's sisters are producers. So I remember vividly my very first job. I just moved to LA. I was 21 years old. I was getting like a whopping $100 a day. And the first guy that I worked for, his name was, I didn't know who he was. All he was doing was puffing. He wouldn't smoke the cigar, but he had a big cigar and would suck on it. And I was like, who's this guy? Everyone's respecting him. He keeps barking orders at people. And they're like, oh, that's Gore Verbinski. And then I was like, that was my first day on a set. Like, I didn't know anything. I was just like, there's craft service. Wait, you're paying me? I can hang out here and eat food and go to work. So that was Gore Verbinski. There's the David Fincher job. I was in the art department on David Fincher commercials. I worked a lot with a production designer who used to do all of his stuff. So when I say all these things, it's usually in the capacity of when I was younger, I would like be able to PA and I would be in the office and I'd get to see all of them and kind of what they do. And so it was kind of cool. And then I went to school after that. So a director I worked for told me about the art center, that he went there. And so that's when I decided to like make my reel and try to get into school. And it kind of worked out.
That's, that it sounds like the opposite of the way it normally should go. And I'm sure that gave you a tremendous boost on things. If you had to look back on that time when you were rubbing elbows with some of these fellows, what would you say would be the some of the biggest items that you garnered from them that you still use today?
Well, it's a good question because there's some of them, I don't know if I have it in my personality to garner things that they do. There's some directors I've worked with who are very, maybe not as personable. And I remember I did a Spike Jonze job and saw him, and I was like, he was like a man of the people. Like everyone wanted to work so hard for Spike, but I also saw how he treated everyone. He would talk to the PAs, he would talk to the craft serve, he would talk to everyone. And it was nice to see that and want to emulate that. And I've seen other directors who kind of just do their job and go hide in their trailers after. So I came up of the very low level of the totem pole, learning how to set up C-stands, just doing the grunt work, staying after. And so that's what I also like about filmmaking is knowing everyone's jobs and like how collaborative it really is. Like I wouldn't be able to do any of this if I didn't have such wonderful, talented, kind people working with me. And so I guess my big takeaway is just, showing respect for everyone else and their craft and letting us all be creative together and go make it happen.
Okay, you might have been under a little pressure there to say that you work with creative people because you seem to always work with your wife.
I don't think Summer gets enough credit for what she does. She is the wizard behind what we do, like Josh and I, and she's gets everyone involved. I mean, she helped get Michael Beach because she was friends with Michael's wife, was able to get the script to Michael. And a lot of the times people might just think, oh, she's my wife, but she's one of the most talented people out there and that I know. I also feel really comfortable with her because she's straight up honest with me. Like I'm at a point where I can't be surrounded by yes men or yes women. I need the honest truth because I'm getting too old where I need all my films to be good now. I'm not 20. So she'll tell us straight up, hey, this doesn't make sense. This isn't good. And sometimes it's hard and sometimes it sucks, but majority of the time she's right. Mm-hmm. So I enjoy that. And then there's no one that works harder on set for me than her. She always watches our back. And we just had our 19-year wedding anniversary. We've been married a while, got 3 kids, but I'll be honest, it hasn't always been perfect. I mean, there's times where I'm, on set, I don't talk to her maybe as respectful as other people because we have a shorthand. So it might seem disrespectful. And at times she's like, hey, so there's things I got to work on, but she's the greatest asset that I personally have creatively. And who was also so helpful was Michael. I saw Michael because I have 2 boys and he has 2 boys, and they're in tap dancing class together. Mm-hmm. And Michael Beach walks in and I'm like, just to myself, I'm like, I know that's Michael Beach. He's been in, films that I've watched or TV shows with great actors. And I was just kind of a fan. And so, and we also were the only ones who had 2 boys tap dancing. So we were able to talk. And I remember asking him questions about directors, but I didn't really have the guts to talk to him about my film. That's kind of how my wife kind of smoothed things together. But what I was saying is that Michael really helped us also get a good cast. Mm-hmm. Michael knew, like I said, Jamie McShane. He knew Anthony. He knew Eugene. I mean, these are solid actors that we were just fortunate to get because this is a small indie SAG ultra low budget film. These guys made no money, basically. Mm-hmm. And even the day before shooting, one of our characters bailed on us. Oh. And we're shooting in 24 hours. And Michael called Eugene, who plays Davis.
Yes.
And he's like, yo, Eugene, I need you. We always do Michael Beach's voice because it's so wonderful. He calls him and he's like, hey, you got to be down here. We need you. And just because also the respect that Eugene, has for Michael, he did us a solid and he came down with no notice and did it for us. And on a side note, Eugene hates boats. He can't swim. He hates boats. But he
didn't show it.
No, he was awesome.
So we're talking about Eugene Bird, who plays Davis, and I like the character Davis because as the situations on the boat are bouncing between scientific, is this extraterrestrial, and religious, is this something different? He's the character that switches between the two. So he's like the everyday guy on the boat, in that whatever new comes up, he's going, okay, that's good.
Right.
Kind of adds a little bit of humanity to the whole story of that thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'd like to get back to the movie a little bit here. Again, I don't want to give too much of this away, but there is a sequence in the film that has shades of, or puts in mind of, one of my favorite biblical stories, which involves the pigs. Okay, and I thought you used that very effectively in the film. I mean, when that first happened, I went, okay, this is getting weird, that type of thing. So I'm wondering, I didn't think it was. I don't believe in coincidence. So here's one of my favorite biblical stories that shows up in your movie. And I've got to ask, what made you, why was that story worked into your script? What was it about that tale that you felt compelled to bring out?
I think that story is phenomenal. I think also it's very interesting, but it's also we could make it somewhat visual, which was helpful. We knew that we could visually get something maybe to come up from the ocean. We could visually see this, and then we could put them all together. So not only I think it's, like I said, it's kind of crazy that something could embody this animal, like that's bonkers, but then that we could physically show it and kind of put it together. That was always in there from day one. So I'd say that is probably one of the big reasons, is also just visually. It would help connect the dots for people.
Cool. Now, Carrie, what is your hope as we're talking now? The movie has not released yet, but what is your hope for Eminence? What's your mental, gee, I hope this happens game plan?
First and foremost, I want those who help me, who help pay for our little movie, I want it to recoup all its money. I wouldn't be here without a couple of individuals who took a chance on me, which are just amazing individuals. Like, I have so much. Yeah. So I want to recoup all that. And then some, obviously. And then I'm just hoping that people can get the chance to watch it, and that it could be kind of like you said at the beginning, a little diamond in the rough, like one of these films people talk about that you have to go see. The February 4th, we're up against like Jackass, a bunch of huge studio movies, but I'm hoping that, through time, people hear what you're saying, they'll go check it out through friends of friends, through social media, that this can be kind of a diamond in the rough type movie. It might not be for everyone, but I think those that understand it, or are into this genre will really be into it.
3 hours ago, the right streak cut down the horizon on this trajectory, registering coordinates northeast of Miami. Multiple sensors were triggered.
Hold up. Are you guys chasing aliens?
AGBs.
Highly evolved beings.
Aliens. What the hell?
Something wrong?
Yeah, they're dead. Flash boiled. This could be proof of impact.
Look at that water. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Nobody's ever seen anything like this because it's impossible.
There was something down there.
Something big. And let's just say it ain't radio waves.
This has to be some psycho sensory manipulation, collective hallucination. It's not real.
The devil, the seas, have always belonged to him.
You think that this is proof of Christian divinity? The Bermuda Triangle?
The devil's triangle.
Look, I don't know about y'all, but I'm for getting the hell out of here.
Everything you came out here to do, first contact, it's here. It's happening.
Harper, get away from the door!
You know, I mean, we put a lot of time and effort into, you know, the script, the storytelling of it, to the making of like, so, you know, we did our best on our part. Now it's on all of you to just go watch it and, see what you think. I know that we swung for the fences, though. This isn't like we either hit a home run or struck out, but I feel like I'm so happy with this film. Like I couldn't be happier for what we tried to accomplish.
Yeah, I think you should be. The script is solid, and I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to view this weeks in advance of its release. Carrie had mentioned, and I want to reiterate to you that this movie will be released on February the 4th, and multiple platforms where you can check it out. You know, on the show's YouTube channel, I have the reviews, and then the very next set of films are best films of whatever year. And those of you who go on the YouTube channel on a regular basis will find that under best films of 2022, Eminence is on there already.
Nice.
So it's there. I mean, this thing was just great, and I think you're going to like it. Now, I try to avoid the mundane questions, but I really got to wrap this up with one. So now that Eminence is coming out, and I got to ask, what's next on the platter for you?
Well, Eminence actually helped us. Someone at Lionsgate watched it and really thought that we did a good job. And we are in the process of, about 10 years ago, I made a found footage film called Amber Alert for $5,000. Just proof of concept, but it came out, it got a little distribution. We have a traditional script for that. And they read that script and we're all over it. So right now we're in the process of trying to cast Amber Alert. And that's what we're going to go do this year.
So Amber Alert is going to be a narrative, not another found footage?
Nope. No, not found footage. We're going just a traditional narrative film with the same concept, basically. It's two individuals that are along the freeway. They see the Amber Alert sign, and lo and behold, the car next to them is the license plate that's on the sign, and craziness ensues.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good. We're just crossing our fingers for a couple people to say yes, and then we're hopefully be moving and shaking on that very soon.
And it will be a Lionsgate release for them. As of now, that's a big name.
Yeah,
that's a big name. Very good.
I'd like to thank once again Carrie Belissa for stopping by and talking with our Outtakes cameras. Folks, I think you're really going to enjoy this movie. It's called Eminence, and it has a lot of things going for it, and it'll have you thinking when it's all over. Thanks again, Carrie, for stopping by. Enjoy the movie Eminence, and now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.